Hi, this is Ramaji at ramaji.org, and this is part two of my informal video series on YouTube about Amrita Nadi and the I Thought. Part one covered both of them and provided an overview. In this video, I'm going to go into more detail about how the I Thought rises up to the brain and takes over the body and produces the extremely convincing trance and feeling I am the body, the I am the body feeling. So it's the I Thought is successfully influencing 7 billion people on this planet, more or less. Quite a lot of people. And it's quite successful at what it does. But there is information available that reveals what it is doing. So if you're hearing this information, you're at the right time and at the right place. What you do with it is up to you, and of course up to God. Now, what's different about this video is that I'm going to show you my drawings of what I see, of how I see the I Thought rise up in a person who is not yet fully awakened, not yet fully enlightened, and in whom the Amrita Nadi has not yet been activated and illuminated. And the way I see it is that it shoots up from the heart on the right, straight up to the brain, shooting up like a rocket or a flare, and it lands on the top of the brain and then takes over the brain, takes over the nervous system, and releases what I'm calling neurotoxins, because it really does affect the body, and produces this feeling of I am the body that is so profoundly convincing. So it manipulates the brain and the nervous system to actually affect the body and produce a false state, an illusion, but it's an illusion in the sense of it being a trance, in that a trance can be induced and then a trance can be broken. The I Thought shoots up very, very rapidly, and it does so when you wake up into this physical world. And when it first moves up, it kind of plants itself right in the center of the top of the head, right over the soft spot, and there's kind of a bump there, and then it spreads and produces a cap which kind of has a hard metallic quality to it, and this is a lid, and this is putting a lid on it. This is capping the physical body experience and blocking off the connection to the divine via the crown chakra. If the crown chakra is wide open, then there will not be this experience of I am the body, and feeling I am the body will not take place. So the I Thought, in order to do what it does, must block off the crown chakra. Now that doesn't mean it's completely closed, but it's got a lid on it, and so there's a disconnection from the divine light above, from God. Not a total disconnection, but it really interferes. But anyway, it's very clever in how it does this and very effective in it. So it produces this clamp which locks itself down over the crown chakra, effectively producing a sense of separation from the divine and the divine light, and thus setting the stage for the I am the body feeling, which is the fundamental state of separation for a human being. And so after that takes place, then there is the release of the neurotoxins. So the first stage is the shooting up of the I Thought, which takes place in a split second at the moment you wake up, and whether you're coming from deep sleep or from dreaming, it shoots up very quickly and hardly anybody notices it. And then it takes over puts a cap on top of the brain, takes over the brain, and then the third stage is it releases the neurotoxins that are induce the feeling, the trance state of I am the body. So it's a very tangible feeling, and it's very convincing. The other thing that happens that's very notable is, as you may know, the majority of our perception is through our vision. I think the number is roughly 70% of how we process information from the world is visually. Well, what happens when the I thought takes over the brain is it also affects the vision in the sense of how do you see the world. And so it's like it puts on these extremely dark glasses, and then people are living in like a twilight. It's like not completely dark, but it's not completely light, and it's a real in-between state. It's a kind of gloomy darkness, a kind of lunar darkness. And it's actually very similar to the state that's reported by people who have been in a full solar eclipse. So in other words, when the moon has blocked the sun and you're right in the pathway of that solar eclipse, then that twilight, that corresponds to the state of the world, that of how people see the world, as well as the actual state of the world. You know, once people are living in this state of endarkenment due to the imposition of the I thought, then this is how they see the world. It's a very mixed place. It's very gray. It's got some bright, some dark, extreme bright, extreme dark. Just seems very mixed and very mixed up, and it's very much of a twilight zone. And this is the lunar landscape. It's just all kind of gray, but it's due to the solar eclipse, and the solar eclipse is very meaningful as a symbol because the sun is a symbol of the heart on the right, the sun of the self, the rising sun, the self-luminous sun. The moon, on the other hand, is a symbol of the mind. So what happens is the mind rises up, and that's the I thought, the I am the body thought, rises up and to the brain and literally blocks the capacity to have direct experience of the self or direct experience of the divine. So, of the heart on the right. So it's really quite precise as a symbol. And I really would say this is where all of this entertainment in popular culture with zombies and vampires, you know, zombies are undead, so they're both alive and dead at the same time, and quite honestly that describes the condition of the average person. Being in the trance of I am the body, your spiritual self is not dead, but it's not alive, and your physical body has been taken over and in a sense is possessed. So it's not really able to function naturally either, because the physical body is a part of nature, and thus of, you could say, God's plan. And the body does not say I am the body. It is the mind that says you are the body to the body, and says I own this body and this is my body and I am this body, and so on and so forth. But it's the mind that's saying that. And again, when I say the mind, I mean very specifically this one thought, the I am the body thought. It is the king thought. It is the master thought. And that's why we do self-inquiry meditation in the form of who are you, who is this thought, and where do you come from? You know, basically 2 steps, because when you ask where it comes from with sufficient intensity, it falls back down into the heart, and you know that it came from the heart on the right, or the self, or source, you could say. And thus you've narrowed down all of the problems and challenges of dealing with the mind, which are virtually infinite in potential, how many problems and challenges you can have, down to one, which is now you're just going to deal with the I thought, and not just some abstraction, but very specifically the I am the body thought. So everything basically in spirituality and enlightenment and happiness and love and, you know, peace on earth and heaven on earth is all resolved when you understand the true nature of this I am the body thought. and perhaps have direct understanding and experience of how it rises up in the morning and takes over, or whenever you wake up, and takes over the brain. So this feeling of I am the body may seem innocent, it may seem pleasurable, it may seem even glorious, but quite honestly, that's naive. And when you've been around the block enough, on this planet, when you've been here enough times, you realize that I am the body is the problem. So even I am the dream body is not it, and ultimately it all starts in the causal body, in the heart cave, in the darkness of the heart cave. That is where the I thought originates from. So whether, the I thought is actually shooting out from the heart cave, from the causal body, when it goes through the dream state and the dream body. And likewise, when you wake up, it's shooting out from the causal cave, from the heart, when you wake up into the physical body. So it's really not very different. I mean, it originates from the causal body either way. And then that is where it has its final rest when it returns there, never to come back out again. That's the death of the I thought, and that takes place in the place that it originated from, which is the heart on the right, or the causal body, the heart cave, the darkness of the heart cave. There is a spiritual black hole there that actually, in a certain way, corresponds to the supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. There's kind of relationship between that and the spiritual heart, the heart on the right, and the crown chakra. And you may feel it. I know I feel it. But anyway, the point is the I thought dies there in that black hole that's in the heart. And then the Amrita Nadi rises up, and then you live in an illuminated world, but there's really not a world anymore. There's really just the self. There's only the self. There's only this illumination. And some would say you're living in heaven on earth, or the Garden of Eden, or this is the light of the absolute, or whatever. But I would honestly say the concepts don't really matter, because what it feels like is simply the natural state. It just simply feels like I am me. I am finally me. This is who I am. I'm free of the burden. I'm free of everything that I was carrying. I'm free of the confusion. I'm free of the contraction. I am finally myself now. So it's the natural state. Some call it Saha. This is of Amrita Nadi having been activated and opened up. And some people are not aware of Amrita Nadi, but they are aware of the crown opening up and becoming fully radiant. And that takes place in conjunction with the heart on the right being activated and Amrita Nadi being activated, but apparently not every spiritual master or enlightened person becomes conscious of this, so therefore it must not be essential. However, I think at this time in history it is important information that people know about the rising of the I thought and the impact that it is having. This was one of the gifts of Ramana Maharshi to the human race, and I'm dedicated extremely valuable, precious, and rare information, as well as the fact of the heart on the right, that people are feeling it waking up, feeling its presence and its reality, and that there is the Amrita Nadi, and that it can wake up, and that enlightenment is very real and very literal. And then you live in the world of light, which is the self. And so there is no duality. You could really say, in a certain way, there is no memory of duality. It is beyond duality and non-duality. So there is only the self you see, only the self. Your senses experience only the self. There is only the self. So as dark as it can be in that twilight zone created by the rising of the I thought, when it takes over the brain and takes over the nervous system and takes over the body and produces this very convincing, intoxicated trance state called the I am the body feeling, even though that's a very dark proposition and we live in a sense on a prison planet, when you wake up and confront and eliminate the I thought, the I am the body idea, then you are set free. Amrita Nadi is activated. You live an illumined life, and the whole world is illuminated, and it becomes light, and it is the self, and there is only self. And then there are various experiences, but there is only the self, only happiness, only peace, only love, and there is only God. Thank you. Okay, so these are from the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, and also one of his direct disciples, Sri Sadhu Om. And here's a list of the books that are related to this topic in case you want to research them further. And I want to point out that Sadhu Om's book is available as a free PDF download due to the generosity of the translator Michael James. That's at his website, Happiness of Being. And Chapter 8 especially of that book summarizes all of this in Sadhu Om's words. But these are my original observations, these are my drawings, and they're limited due to the fact that I'm having to put them into drawings, so don't take them as representing every single person, every single situation, but they should give you a good idea of what's going on, and hopefully be a powerful message to say, hey, this stuff is real, and Ramana Maharshi, in so many words, was right. And I can say that he was right based on my own direct and personal experience. And so, anyway, that's it. Okay, thank you. Many blessings in the self. This is Ramaji at ramaji.org. Take care.